All right, take two at this intro. Inside joke between me and Chandler. But welcome to Off Trail with Luke and Chandler. I'm Luke.
I'm Chandler.
And this is Off Trail. A little technical difficulties before we recorded this episode. We were 2 minutes into it and realized audio wasn't recording.
Yep.
But here we are. So you guys don't get to hear the funny pizza jokes now that we tried in the first intro.
Yeah, too bad.
But your loss. So today's episode, we're talking about something that no one really asks for necessarily, but in a way, I feel like a lot of people do, they feel this problem.
Yeah.
And it's the issue of trying to, maybe force photos out to share too quickly and not taking the time to really edit something and give it the time and attention that it deserves. And we've had this issue, you and me both, we're human, and we come across photos that we struggle to edit.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's been times in the past where I have succumbed to this pressure and I've just pushed out a photo. And I think I look back on some of those and I think they're maybe a little over-edited, But there's others, and maybe, I don't know how much people realize this, but at least I know for me and probably for you as well. I have photos that I've been sitting on for a year and a half, because I haven't figured out how I want to edit it, or I don't have the time to really dive into it.
Yeah.
And so it's instead of just putting something on it and throwing it out, I'm just going to just wait until the day comes where I figure it out and I can put it out there.
Yeah. You don't want to force it. So.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about today a couple of photos that we have struggled to edit. And at least I think in my case, I haven't posted any of these three because I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And then I have two examples of I finally figured it out. One that has been posted a year and a half ago, and then another one I'm going to post somewhat soon at the time of this recording. And you got kind of the same setup here. So we're going to go through and start with a couple of photos that we just, for whatever reason, cannot figure out how to give it the proper edit to make it work. So I'll start with one of mine.
Yeah, go for it.
And the first one we're going to do is the photo I have here, and we'll show everything on screen so you can see it, is from the first time I went out with Saul, shooting downtown Salt Lake. I got this nice car driving through the middle of the intersection, all centered up on this building. And for whatever reason, I just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And part of it, and you'll see some recurring themes in some of these, I think. But part of it's I don't know, I think the sky just doesn't really help. It's empty. It's blank. Obviously, I tried to take a lot of the color out of it, which, I don't know, maybe doesn't work.
Yeah.
I tried to isolate the color on the car, and it's just, I don't know, it's not my kind of photo right now. And I think at some point I will figure it out. But for right now, it does not sit well with me.
Yeah. You know what's funny about this is I actually don't, and obviously this comes down to personal taste. This is something that you and I had a little bit of a conversation about, but I actually don't totally mind this photo. I feel like it could, it is missing something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I haven't really, I haven't spent any time with this photo other than the last, 30 seconds of looking at it, but at first glance, I don't necessarily mind it that much. So, I think a lot of times when we're editing photos, it does come down to kind of personal taste, because there's some of my photos that, you were looking at and that you like. And I'm like, I don't. Right. I'm not a huge fan. So.
Right. No, personal taste definitely comes down to, a major factor of whether or not you think a photo's ready. Mm-hmm. And, if you like it, then by all means, use it. If you think it's done, then it's done. But there's still an argument to be made that maybe just sit on it for another week.
Yeah.
And see what you think about it then. Don't settle on your first edit with this. And I've worked at this for a while. I mean, this photo is 9 months old at this point. And I don't know, it still doesn't work for me, at least. I feel like with what I'm trying to do with my new page and style and all that, it just doesn't fit, and I'm just not sold on it. And so because of that, I'm not going to force it out.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to.
Yeah. So
I know that is a, when you're editing photos, that is something that a lot of people say to do is to edit a photo and then take a step back from it. You know, whether it's a couple hours, a couple days, maybe, you know, a couple months, a year. Like, you don't need to push it out and rush it. You know, you don't need to get a rushed, half-done job out. You want to make sure it's good.
Yeah.
And it's all the way there.
And even like, you know, if you're editing, say like during the day, like take a look at it at night too, like in the dark.
Yeah.
Because you view it slightly differently with colors and tones and all that stuff. And like, you know, your screen especially displays it. Like, you kind of want to see it in all settings first before you just throw it out there.
Yeah.
So do that. But yeah, that's my first example. Chandler, what do you got here?
Let's see. Well, let's do this Oregon one. So this is one that, and I think I know why I have a hard time with this photo. But I took this last February 26th, 2022, out in a little canyon down in Oregon. You got these cool mossy rocks and all the water's flowing through it. I had done a long exposure to get a little bit of some smoothness throughout the river. And I have been trying to edit this photo probably since the night that I took it, you know, back in February of 2022. And I don't know what it is, but I can't figure it out. I can't get it to get to a point that, you know, just hits just right, you know? And I think I might know what's wrong with it. I think I might know why I'm struggling with it. And I think it's maybe more so the composition and kind of what's going on in the photo itself rather than just the edit. And sometimes that's what it is. Like, sometimes you get stuck on, you know, maybe the composition isn't exactly how you want it, or, you know, there's certain elements in the photo that kind of take away from what you're trying to do with it. And I think this might be one of those cases. So right now I have a little bit more of a desaturated look than maybe I would normally go for. I had tried a more saturated look at first and wasn't totally feeling it, so I went with a little bit more of a moodier, desaturated feel, and I don't know, can't figure it out. And I've kind of given up on it a little bit, but maybe one day I'll figure it out. But you,
yeah,
like this photo.
I like this photo. I think the tones, the colors, all that stuff is really good. The composition I like. I think maybe the one thing that if I was going to offer any kind of critique or maybe like guess at what might hold you back on this one, at least, because I think the edit itself is great. I think it's just the branch that's hanging over the middle.
And it might be.
Like, I think that almost like if there's anything that's going to hold you back from liking it, that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
You know? But otherwise, it's like I like it too.
Yeah.
And now, again, it's just that personal taste thing. But it's another good example. It's like if you just like don't really feel it, there's no pressure like to put it out there. Like, you know, we put this pressure on ourselves, but like my people, like they expect me to be posting. And it's like, no one really is. They don't care enough about that. So don't feel like you have to throw it out there.
Yeah.
If you have any kind of holdup, like you do about this photo, you know?
Yeah. Don't push it. It's that whole concept of, you know, quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So,
because I mean, I think that still matches a lot of what you do. I think it's great. I do like the desaturated stuff. I don't think you need to change the colors.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, like maybe there is something that eventually you'll figure out.
Yeah.
That you'll get a fix with it, and then that's when it's like, I did it.
Yeah.
Like I finally got what I wanted out of it, and then hey, now you're ready to post it.
Yeah. True. Yeah, and maybe it is just, you know, a composition thing with the branch, because the point, you know, when I was taking this photo, I wanted to try to get the stream and I wanted to get these mossy rocks, but then I also wanted to show the that mossy branch and kind of use that as a frame. But I feel like, you know, maybe it's taking away from the photo a little bit. Maybe that's part of, you know, like you said, part of what I'm getting hung up on. So.
Yeah, and so I think to kind of tie into this, let's go to my next one here, and it's this photo I got at Devil's Tower in Wyoming, because I think maybe for the same reason a little bit is like, again, for this one, composition's fine, you know, but there's parts of a photo when you take it that maybe you don't realize when you're taking it, or like in my case, like not much I could do about it, that just make the photo harder to edit or to like in general. You know, like in your case, that branch, it's like, well, maybe that branch is like what's holding you up, and just for whatever reason, it kind of ruins the composition a little bit, and just you can't get sold on the photo.
Yeah.
In this case, that's kind of the same way for me. It's like I like this photo, but like there's just something about it I don't, and I think it's because the sky is just so blank.
Yeah.
That like it's just I don't know. It's just hard to get into and find something that I like with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there can be other reasons besides it. Because again, both these are good compositions. Like they're fine. Like there's nothing wrong with them. We've tried editing them and we still just can't get there. And it may not be your fault. It may not be like an issue with your editing or even your composition. It's like maybe conditions just weren't great.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little twig or something that's sticking in your frame that like, it just for whatever reason takes it to a level that you just can't get there with.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I this is one where I generally like this photo, but I do get what you're saying, where it does feel like something's kind of missing with having that blank sky.
Yeah, it just feels empty.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too that part of it when we're editing photos, we're editing it until a photo gives us kind of it kind of scratches some itch, like when you look at the photo and it's like, ooh, that's good. That's it right there. Like you get a feeling, like when you hit a good edit.
Yeah.
And sometimes like it just doesn't doesn't get there, and it's about figuring out what it is that's preventing you from getting there.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where it just takes a little bit more time. Like just sit on it a bit. Don't rush it out. Just wait, and maybe you come back like a week later or something. It's like, hey, like I'll try this now.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like you're editing and you just get stuck in one lane of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And you don't have any kind of like new ideas you're going to try or anything like that. And when you come back to it a week, a month later, whatever, like maybe something new is working up in your brain. You're like, I'm going to try this instead.
Yeah.
And suddenly that might change the whole photo. Like that's a great thing.
It could, yeah.
But like you don't get that unless you be a little patient and not try and, just force something inside of this photo.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important too, which maybe I have a photo here that can maybe talk about this, but it's important not to try to turn a photo into something that it's not.
Right.
And I feel like maybe let me trying to decide here which one, because I've got a couple that maybe can touch on that. But I feel like maybe the best example, honestly, is that Oregon one. Let's just talk about this UNS one, because this one is...
Well, I have basically the same shot.
Yeah.
And there's like 7 other people that have this shot.
Yeah.
And I think you can mirror like the only ones that haven't posted this.
Yeah, and for some, like, we haven't posted anything from that trip, and I got like, I don't know, I got probably like 40 or 50 photos.
I've posted something. It's a top down.
Oh, it's top down, yeah. Which I think I have a drone shot that I actually like. I just haven't the colors I'm still working through, which is another thing.
Yeah.
But this one, I mean, I have worked so hard to try to figure out this photo, and I cannot get it right for myself.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like when I have that photo in front of me, like I tried, like soon after that trip, and I basically just gave up on it.
Yeah.
Like right away. I haven't even bothered to go back to it.
Yeah, I have a bunch of different versions of this, like different times in that evening, some that were taken 20, 30 minutes later, some were taken 20, 30 minutes prior, and different lighting, and I cannot figure any of them out.
Yeah, and for me, and I don't know about you, but like for me, like it's funny because we had an amazing sunset. Like the colors in the sky were awesome.
They're great.
But like I still just can't figure out how to edit it.
Yeah.
Like to I don't know, make it seem like what it was and keep the color. Like it just, for whatever reason, like phenomenal sunset.
Yeah.
Colors, all that. And like I just can't figure out how to get this right.
Yeah.
And you and me seem to be the only ones that can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Maybe part of me just like maybe I figured it out. I think it might be an instance where, so typically when we're taking photos, I mean, at least when I'm taking photos, I try to put like my main subject, have it be like the main thing in the photo. And typically it is like the biggest thing in the photo as well. The main subject on this is the tiniest thing in the photo.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's just a composition thing.
Yeah, maybe we just don't like it for that reason.
Maybe, yeah. Because, you know, when I look at this, like, I generally like the colors. Like, I don't mind them. They're not, like, where I would want them to be, but, like, they're not, I don't hate them. But there's just something about it that I can't figure out. And maybe that is, you know, maybe I'm just getting hung up on the composition.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it could very well be it. I mean, because that is a very real thing. It's like maybe you just misshot it.
Yeah.
Kind of for like the shot that you would want, realistically. You know, we saw the sky and we're like, yeah, we got to include the whole sky in it.
yeah.
So like, I got to shoot wide. And then we got reflections in this shot as well. So it's like, you want to include all of that, but like maybe that was not the play.
Yeah. Because I feel like, that's one thing that's funny about this photo. I really like, so the photo is kind of cut somewhat in half.
Yeah.
I really like the foreground. Like, I love the stream. I love the reflections in it. I love how the grass looks, everything. But that top half of the photo, the one with the amazing sky, like I can't do it. I don't know why.
It's just weird, but like it's just funny how that works. It's like, you know, like you have half the photo you're like, I love, and the second half it just doesn't work for you. But like, there's nothing you can do now.
Yeah.
And it's this random fact of like composition that we weren't thinking about in the field. That like now that you look at it, you're like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for me. You know, we were stoked that night. We're like, oh, this is amazing sunset.
Great. Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. And we get back and we're like, ew, this is not good.
Yeah.
And like we both are like that. And everyone else is posting their stuff.
I know.
Right away from that trip.
Yeah. And this is another photo that like I've been sitting on, and you've been sitting on yours too. I mean, this was last June.
Yeah. Well,
So
like I literally haven't touched it since then.
Yeah. It's been like 8 or 9
I don't
months.
know if I've looked at it since then.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just something that like I've forgotten about. I'm trying to pretend like it never happened.
It never existed.
Yeah, like, you know, I wasn't on that trip. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can't talk about it. But yeah, it's just, it's funny how that works. But again, it's like, it gets into this conversation of like, we're just not going to like rush something and put it out if it's, you know, not up to our standard for what a photo is. You know, you should hold yourself to a high standard. And if you like it, post it.
Yeah.
That's great. But like, once you get the hang of what you're doing, like you feel like you have a certain level, like a bar that you have to get to with all your stuff, don't feel like you have to post something just to post something.
Yeah. No.
Like post something if it meets your expectations for what you're doing.
Yep.
And I'd say not even like meets the expectations of like all your followers or anything. Like it's got to be your expectation.
Yeah.
You have to like the photo.
Yep, exactly. You know, it's funny. So in my determination to get something from here, because I know that there's like the bones for something good. I know I got something. It's just a matter of figuring out like what it is. There is another photo that I got from here that is more pushed in. And it kind of says, I don't know if we want to show this on screen, but it looks a little bit more like that.
That's a great photo. That's a phenomenal photo.
Yeah, and I edited it, and it's saved on my phone. I'm going to post it at some point. But I think it's one where I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
So, and it's a little bit, it's just tighter in. It kind of makes those mountains a little bit more prominent, not so tiny.
Gives you something better to focus on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because like in a way, like with the sky and the reflection, like those are kind of like the focal points in a way. But it's like you're just kind of swimming through it lost almost. Like it's nothing defining in there. And so it's like, I don't know. It's just...
I think this might be a instance too where I made a mistake with the focal length because I was really trying to shoot wide with this and get the whole thing.
Right.
I was shooting at like I think 17 millimeters, maybe.
Right. I was too.
You know, and I've noticed that the ones that I shot way tighter, you know, from 50 to 70 millimeters, I like them way more.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just, you know, a good example of trying to use the right focal length in the right time.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay, well, I have one more bad one I'm going to show, and we can just brush through it quickly because for a lot of the same reasons that it, you know, that's why I don't like it. And pardon the edit on this one, but I think it's terrible. Again, I can't figure it out. You know, it's one of those things, and I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but it's like, you know, for all the great shots that you see, you know, people like you and me get, it's like we take crap like this too, and then like we do stuff to it like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, this is not great.
Yeah. Nope.
But it's like, you know, this was just middle of the day, passing through Wind Cave National Park. And it's like, oh, let's get this photo. And it's not great.
Yeah.
But like, it's almost like no fault of my own. It wasn't sunset. It wasn't great lighting. It just, it's hard.
Yeah.
Colors were like blah in that whole place. Like, it's just kind of dull. And it's just not, it's not easy to do anything with. And sometimes that's just how it's going to be.
Yep.
But like, you don't see me posting this piece of trash. Like, It's not happening.
If you posted this, I would make so much
Yeah,
money.
I would invite that. Because again, like this is nowhere close to the standard that I've set for myself on what I should be posting.
Yeah.
And what I should be sharing. Like this is not a Luke Furman photo.
Nope.
And maybe if I figure the edit out, maybe it is. But even then, probably not.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I think, there's maybe the bones for something good are here. But again, it's just a matter of figuring it out.
Sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And again, like I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to force it. Like if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. Yeah.
I'm going to move on to better photos.
Yep, exactly. And that's a good point too. Like if don't spend your time or don't waste your time trying to force a bad photo. Just because like there are elements that you like about it doesn't mean it's going to make it a good photo.
Yeah.
So don't waste your time if it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's okay to admit that.
Yeah.
You need to admit like, okay, this is not a good photo. But like you said, you just move on to the good ones.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I think in that spirit, let's move on to the good ones.
Yeah.
Let's each share 2 photos, I think, of things that we've sat on for a bit, we finally figured out, and we posted. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I've got this photo of one of those cool barns that's up in the Grand Teton area, out on what's called Mormon Row. So this photo was taken last fall, or early last fall. Bryce Doherty and I had gone up there to do a bunch of stuff, and we got to this location that night for sunset. We originally were shooting on the opposite side, on the east side of the barn, shooting towards the Grand Tetons. And as the night went on, we ended up going out to the opposite side of the barn, shooting onto the Tetons. Well, excuse me. And while we were out there, there was another photographer who was out there, some older gentleman, and he had been shooting the same direction as us the whole time, but then he turned around, and he was all set up and getting framed up for some other shot. We were like, what are you shooting? And he's like, oh, I'm just out here scouting. He's like, it's supposed to be a full moon this weekend. And so I was trying to see, where the moon was rising and whatnot. And we're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then like 2 minutes later, the moon rose, full moon. Actually, I don't think it's like an actual totally full moon, but it's like the next day was supposed to be the full moon. And so the moon rose and got camera gear set up, snapped this photo. And it took me a while to totally figure out the edit. And I didn't think that I was going to come up with something like this, but it's something that I really like. The colors are very subdued, very desaturated. And I don't know, I really like it. It took me a little bit to kind of figure it out. Took a lot of retries and re-edits, and I think I finally came onto something that I actually really like. So
yeah, and I think this is a good example of, you're shooting something that's not the normal, usual, obvious composition, and so like that alone is going to make it a little bit harder to like right away. You take some time, you work on it, you try a couple different things. I remember you going through this and asking me a couple times like what I thought of it, and like you got like the color is right, especially because this is more like a nighttime shot, and it's like you got the blue to make it feel like it's later at night.
Yeah,
the moon looks good, like the colors of the barn, like all of it works really well together. And because you took that time, you asked some people what they thought of it. It's like you just slowly work towards a solution that you're happy with.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. You could have posted that right away. The color in the sky would have been a little off. Anything like that. And it's like, well, now that's out there. Like that would not have been great for your reputation as a photographer.
Yeah.
But instead, you remain patient with it.
Yeah. Just wait.
Yeah.
So.
And that's exactly what we should be doing. As photographers. Shouldn't be rushing it. So.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I have kind of a similar thing with it. Is one of my shots from Glacier, my favorite shot from Glacier when I went a year and a half ago. When I went, I was there for like 3 days, and there was almost no sunlight at all the entire time. It was cloudy, overcast. And when I got back, I posted like a shot from it like nearly right away. And then I realized I'm like, this is not great.
Yeah.
And all the other shots, like I just couldn't figure out. And then like 2 months later, I finally figured out what to do with them, and I had to make them a little more moody because
moody conditions.
It was moody conditions. And so like once I realized that, this one and the other 6 that I had all just came together.
Yeah.
And like that's great. But like again, it's just an example. I didn't rush through this and be like, oh, I just went to Glacier. I got to share it right now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like I waited until I figured out what this photo needed.
Yes.
And when you figure out like what a photo needs, it doesn't matter if it's mine, yours, anyone's, doesn't matter. When you figure out what a photo needs and you finally give that to it, it gives the photo a whole new life and meaning to you. Because I look at this one now and I'm like, that was my trip.
Yeah.
Like that was an awesome moment there.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. But like if I don't have it, it just, I don't know, it almost like degrades the entire memory of the whole trip, which it's like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So it's just another reason why you should, just give it some time.
Yeah, I agree. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. You got one more we'll go through.
I think so.
Again, we're just trying to give you guys some good examples of why you should wait.
Yep. So,
Your favorite day of your life?
my favorite day of my life. This is Red Mountain in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Great place.
Fond memories.
Fond memories. I don't think I've ever been so excited to take photos in my life.
Yeah, and just to be clear, my fond memories are of Chandler acting like a little schoolgirl.
Yep.
Running around for photos.
Yep. I don't think I've ever been so giddy about stuff in my life. So, this photo went through a lot of different versions. And I cannot figure it out. I don't know why. I think part of it maybe was I saw what you did really soon. And I was like, well, I don't want it to look exactly like Luke's. And I want to have my own twist on it,
It's okay if it looks like mine. It's great.
Well, I don't like your photos. So, but I went through a lot of different little versions of this. Some that were like way warmer, some that were way cooler. And it's just, it just took a lot of tweaking. And I think I finally kind of figured it out. And now I'm really happy with it. So, yeah, just something, that's all it takes. Just being patient.
And I can confirm a little too because we were there together, and I have a photo that's very similar to this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we got the same photos basically.
Yeah.
From the whole trip, and I kind of feel the same way. Like I feel like those colors are hard to work with a little bit.
They are. Yeah.
And just for whatever reason, it's like just makes it hard.
Yeah.
And so like I can't remember. I don't think I've like really tried editing that one much, but I felt that with a couple other photos from that same day where it's like, man, it's not great.
Yeah.
Like I'm not there yet. And like, I feel like I've gone through that same kind of phase too, where I like desaturate some of it. And like, like I've done a similar edit and I was like, yeah, it's not my taste.
Yeah.
But like, again, I'm not just going to throw that one out there with something that I don't actually approve of.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you should always be looking to, really enjoy what it is that you're sharing with people and not just put it out there for your followers because you feel like you need to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a good example too of, like you said, working with colors and stuff and the color management on this one in particular, like just the reds and the oranges.
It's a lot of colors.
A lot of different colors. And so it's tricky to kind of get those to all work well together.
Yeah, to maintain like not only like their hues and saturation, but like not make sure they're blending together too much. Like, it's hard to keep all that separate.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you got to work with blue up in the sky and there's a bit of green in there too. Like it's hard.
Yep.
And you really got to take the time for it, and it pays off.
Yep.
When you take the time to actually work through a photo, it pays off.
Yep. I agree.
Because now you're gonna have something that's even better than you had before. Maybe it's some of your best work that you've ever done. Mm-hmm. You're like, wow, I just did this.
Yep.
And like my next photo is kind of going to be an example of that because this is from my Oregon trip last September.
Yeah.
So 6 months from the time of this recording, and I took those photos and I was stoked about them right away. Come back and I start editing. I'm like, I have no clue what to do with these.
Yep.
Like I told you as much.
I had the exact same experience when I went to Oregon as well because I had very similar conditions.
Yeah.
Then I was like pumped on location. Then I got home and I was like, I don't know what to do with any of these.
Yeah, it's hard when it gets like foggy like that because like I saw your photo from this lighthouse and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome because you have like the water and the cliffs in the back. I'm like, great. And so I'm going in thinking like, oh, I'm going to get some of that. Nope,
nothing. Not even close.
Straight fog.
Exact opposite.
Like I can dehaze the crap out of this photo and it's still not there.
Yeah.
Like it's just the way it is. And so like I had a hard time with this right away because I wasn't able to do what I wanted to originally and how I wanted to display the photo. And it's like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Like you get thrown for a loop like that. And so just sat on it for a bit and then literally, this week, again, at the time of this recording, I just kind of revisited it a little bit. And I was like, this looks good.
Yeah.
And now it's a photo I'm very happy with.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And it's like, you go through an experience like this that's like, you know, you don't force it. You don't rush it. You sit on it. You try a couple of new things. And now I have some experience editing in a situation environment that we don't have a ton of experience in. And you figure out how to get something good out of that.
Yeah.
And that just adds more, you know, tools on your belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you have more experience. You have more skills that you can work with for future edits. But like, if you don't take the time to study the photo, to work through edits, just try new things, like, you're never going to actually improve on your skills with editing.
Yeah.
And again, like we've talked about with some of the earlier examples as well, you go through it and you're like, this edit's not bad, but I just don't really care for the photo. Like, maybe there was something else about the photo that didn't work.
Yeah.
But if you don't take the time to really study all these little details and you just post something, well, you're missing out on a chance to actually improve.
Yeah.
Whether it's, again, taking the photo right in, like in the field or in post-processing.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's maybe important too. I don't know if you've ever done this. This is something that I used to do a lot when I was first getting into photography. Is, you know, I would see a shot and I would see, you know, a composition or a photo, and, you know, I would take it, but I would almost take it and with the knowledge of like, I don't know exactly how I'm going to edit this, because a lot of times, you know, when I'm taking photos now, I can kind of see how I would edit it. And like while I'm in the field. But when I was first starting, I was like, I don't know exactly how I'm going to edit this, but like, I know that at some point in the future, I'll have the skills to do it. So like, I take the photos instead, and then I sit on it, because I'm like, I don't know exactly what to do with it now, but at some point I'm going to, because I know that the bones for a good photo are here. So
yeah, I think what you just said, you know, and just the idea of having some patience with your work is one of the quickest ways you can actually improve your craft. You know, instead of going out in the field, rushing to get a couple photos, coming back, editing, posting right away, and basically just forgetting about it at that point, you can have an experience, you know, whether it's throughout a week, a month, again, in our case, sometimes a year.
Yeah.
Like, you have an experience with a photo, not only like from the moment you take it, but all the way through when you finalize the edit, that you start to realize a lot of the things you're doing as a photographer, whether it's in the field or in post-processing, that you can start to tweak and change and just grow as an entire person, as a photographer. And like, that's when you're going to see your work start to get a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we talk about a lot of people we do stuff with, you know, you and me, like, we've seen people grow really, really fast in what they do and get better. But I think it's just really because it's attention to detail over longer periods of time and being intentional and not just giving in to what's easy or settling for, oh, here's a good photo.
Yeah.
It's like, no, go for a great photo.
Go for a great one. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Actually, Nimit made a post today on Instagram, and I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, but it was like, it was talking about the difference of taking ordinary photos in excellent places, excellent photos in ordinary places, and then excellent photos in excellent places. And like, how do you balance that out? He was like, I found that I've gotten myself stuck in this rut where I'm taking ordinary photos in excellent places. I don't remember if he used the word excellent. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think that that's maybe something to think about. You know, like, are you going to go to, or is extraordinary, ordinary photos in extraordinary places? Are you going to go to an extraordinary place and are you going to take the ordinary photo? Or are you going to take the extraordinary photo in the either, you know, the extraordinary place or the ordinary place?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
It's a great way of framing it all. Like, slow it down.
Yeah.
Be intentional and strive to get the best work you could possibly get out of somewhere, and not just some work.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think it's important too to think about how, you know, a lot of times we see photos of some extraordinary places on Instagram, and, you know, we're like, I want to go get this photo. But maybe that photo that you're seeing on Instagram is not the best photo you can get from there. Like, find something that is. Find something that's maybe better.
Yeah, find someone who's got great work of a place
Mm-hmm.
and go into your experience there with the mindset of, I'm going to try and one-up them.
Yeah.
I'm going to do better.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like quite have the skill set right now to actually do better. But that's how you should be approaching all this. Because if you're going in being like, yeah, I'm going to get some cool photos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, you're going to get some good ones.
It's
But
some
like,
cool photos.
But if you really want to get better and see yourself improve, you got to be like, I'm chasing the great one.
Yeah.
The one that's going to make people stop and be like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a phenomenal photo.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and like that's when you start doing that and you get the reaction out of people like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
You're going to know that you're on to something
Yeah.
with your entire craft. And that's what you should be chasing.
Yep. I agree.
So be patient, give it some time, and really just focus on like developing your skill little by little and not just trying to take the massive jump right away or having the mistaken belief that you've just started and you're already getting amazing photos.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yep.
You know, it's like, do the work.
Yep. Pretty much every photo that I took the first 2 years of being a photographer, I look back now and I'm like, they all suck.
It looks like a different person took them.
Yeah. Yeah. It
But
does.
like, you know, and not saying you're going to figure it out in 2 years or a year or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like you're going to figure it out in the time frame that you need to figure it out in.
Mm-hmm.
And however much time you can dedicate to getting better and practicing and all that stuff, it's only going to help you.
Yep.
But you have to be patient with it.
Exactly.
Okay? So that's all we got for you guys today. If you're watching this video, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate it. It helps us out a lot, you know, and feel free to leave a comment as
Yeah.
well. You know, let us know what your experience has been like out in the field. If you've had problems editing photos, you know, if you want, send them to us. Maybe we'll edit them.
Yeah.
See what we can.
Yeah.
See what we can do. Take a crack at it.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Do a little edit the community's photos.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
sweet. So we got that for you. If you're a podcast person and prefer audio only, we're on all major podcasting platforms as well. So go check us out there too.
Yeah.
But that's all we got for today. Bushwhackers out.
Bye.